taking them to the next level. Executive coaching has allowed me to take all those things that I've learned in my career and bringing them focusing them really on leadership development, because as a leader in corporate America and even in an entrepreneurial setting with small companies, you really learn a lot on how to lead, learn by doing, but also how not to lead. So meeting John Mattone and the rest of the coaches has really enabled us to do something that I really love, is really helping people with leadership development and cultural transformation. It's been a lot of fun.
Very good. One of the things you mentioned is your experience. You're very experienced in leadership and executive roles, and that's absolutely crucial for an executive coach. So what you bring to the table is essential, to be able to bring, your clients up to speed and get them to that next level.
Yeah, I mean, the both of us, you live it, right? And so you've experienced it, so you know what the highs and lows are of being a manager, whether it's, it doesn't matter what level you're at. There are highs and lows, and you have to be mindful of that. And sometimes it's really hard to remember all the things that you need to think about as a leader, right? And that brings us to executive coaching, whether it's an emerging leader or someone that's already in a leadership role. Sometimes you need a refresher, and an executive coach can help you with that, as well as take an emerging leader that may know nothing about leadership and helping them evolve into the best they can be, right? I mean, it evolves like business evolves. So does your career path.
It's interesting you say that about executive coaching evolving. There was definitely a time that it was viewed with a lot of skepticism.
Yes.
And it's maybe even a luxury for, some executives, some, CEOs or whatever, to have an executive coach. But now it's a $2 billion a year industry. It's growing rapidly. It's being viewed by most leaders in organizations as an essential part of your growth, corporate growth, organizational growth, and especially leadership growth. Really, to get to that next level in your leadership, executive coaching is being viewed as one of the things that you definitely have to have.
And you see that a lot of CEOs and famous CEOs that we see on TV, they've all gone through coaching. They've all had an executive coach.
Right.
But now, to your point, a lot of companies are realizing, hey, this isn't just for the C-suites. These are for the emerging leaders. The VPs, the directors, people that manage people, right? So they realize it's really important. And I think that the pandemic made people sit back and realize, hey, we need to do a better job at this.
Yeah. Well, and I think not only a better job, but kind of reinvent the way some of the things are done. There's a lot of changes that, 2020 brought around in the business world. So let's talk about these 7 signs of, you need some coaching. What are they?
Well, I mean, I think, it's funny because I try to make a positive out of it, right? So the first thing that I look at is, gosh, am I overworked? Am I stressed? And, we talked about this, and you have you call it leadership derailment, which, I mean, that is a great phrase to use because that's really what it is. You're not, you go off that path, you derail. And I think you need to look at some really clear signs. Wow, do I need a coach? The first thing that I want to ask, are you ready for coaching? Because you have to be ready, right? Because some people are not ready. So ask, are you curious? Are you the type of person that's curious, that's open to learning, that's open to new ideas? And you're not afraid of that, right? I mean, that's a big one. And you want to learn about yourself, but also the business around you and other people. I also like to say, gosh, it takes a lot of courage to do that. So are you courageous? That's a big
Executive
one.
coaching, we've talked about this several times on other
Yeah.
shows. Executive coaching is not easy.
No.
It really is not. And it's you need to be ready for this. You need to be open to what's coming, open to, anything that we're going to be able to help you with. And having that courage to do that, to really step out of your comfort zone is a huge step. And it's one that it takes, some people quite a while to do, based on their own personality. It really is not an easy place to be, but it's a place you have to be. It really is.
Well, nobody likes to be told what they're not, like that they need to improve on something or they're not good at something, right? Especially when you're at that level. But you've got to be open to that, and you've got to be able to not take that personally, and step out. To your point, step out of your comfort zone and look at it in a different way than perhaps you were looking at it before.
Exactly. So, and I heard y'all also mention accountability.
Oh yes.
Are you accountable?
Right. You can't make any excuses as a leader. You can't. You've got to manage your expectations. You've got to own your mistakes. If a leader says, "Hey, it's my fault. I made the mistake," that says a lot to those that report to you. That you're responsible and you're accountable, and it trickles down, right? So if you're responsible and accountable, chances are those that you manage will be too.
I got an interesting story about responsibility and accountability. One of the folks that we're working with, one of the organizations we're working with, has quite a few reviews on Glassdoor.
Right.
Okay, and so it's interesting because their turnover is double what the industry standard is. And so it's pretty high, 29% turnover.
Wow.
About 700 employees. So if you do the math, you're losing over 200 employees every year. And so a lot of the reviews on Glassdoor from some of these employees that have left, maybe 1-star reviews, 2-star reviews. And they're pretty, telltale. There's a lot of information there. There's no communication. They don't listen to us. We don't feel part of the team. We feel overworked, overstressed, all those things we talk about. But it's interesting because if you look at anybody that's certain manager level and above, it's all 4 and 5 stars. Oh, this is a great place to work. We really enjoy the environment. But it's interesting that there's a person that comes in and disputes all of these lower reviews. And some of the things that they were saying was this has to be a plant. This couldn't be one of our employees because they all love us. This couldn't be a real review. Well, you have to be able to accept that.
Right.
Be responsible, to be open, be vulnerable, and have the courage to admit, yeah, there are some problems here. That's a huge disconnect when you can come in as a senior leader and actually dispute some of the reviews from some of the employees that have left, on a public forum, saying this person probably never even worked for us.
Well, and that brings you to vulnerability, right? Are you vulnerable? You're not perfect. You don't have all the answers, but you have to actively listen to the feedback. So to me, someone that says, "Oh, that's all made up." Well, you need to be open and really listen to that feedback, because maybe I may say, well, if it's one review that says that, maybe, but it's not one review. It's a lot more. So you have to pay attention to it and you have to listen to it and be ready to address the issues there, right?
Right.
And be ready to have a plan to make it better for people. With reviews, especially on like a Glassdoor, if you see the same thing over and over again, there's a problem and you have to address it.
There's a problem. Absolutely, there's a problem. And part of the problem is there was still is. I mean, it's someone we're still working with, but it's such a big disconnect
Mm-hmm.
that there's this scalability issue. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we're making X amount of money, we're making a lot of money, but really in turnover, it's costing us just small amount. In reality, so it's a disconnect. We're making maybe 300 million a year, but 4.5 million is in turnover. Okay, we can deal with that. It's the same thing as having $300 and you lost $4.50. If you don't really get into how, the reasons why and the stressors involved, and this is something we're actually going to talk about on an upcoming podcast, but some of the stressors involved in bringing new people on. And so that's definitely a sign that you need some coaching. You've got to be able to close those gaps, if you will.
And, you bring up an interesting point too. If someone says, oh, that can't be, an employee, it has to be made up. It's the ego and the arrogance that come in too, right?
Right.
That really needs to be, if your ego gets in the way and you're that arrogant about things, you need a coach. You need to, really sit down with a coach and figure out what's going on, because ego and arrogance are just cause negativity in the workplace.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
People can see it. People see it and they feel it.
Oh, absolutely. So what are some of the other signs that you wanted to, you mentioned as far as these 7 signs that you need a coach?
I think a big one is commitment. Right? I think that commitment is big. I mean, you have to be not only committed to yourself, but if you're working for a big corporation or even a small business, you need to be committed to the business and the people around you.
Right.
And if you feel that that lacks, you really need to sit down with someone and figure it out, right? A coach would be great to put together a plan and really structure a plan that allows you to be committed. And you've got to be committed to a coach. So in order to be coachable, you have to be committed to having an executive coach, because you're going to meet with them. You're going to have conversations with them. You're going to have a little bit of homework, right? So I think commitment is a big piece of it. Yeah. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. And along with that commitment, you have to be present. You have to be vigilant. Yes. You have to be visible and committed to what you're doing. Just like you said, everybody in the organization needs to see this, needs to see your commitment, needs to see that you're present in the moment, that you have your vision of where it needs to be is something that's real and it's obtainable, and it's something that you can get everybody else excited about. Committing to those goals. How many times do we see organizations or people who, Q1, day one, man, we get together, we've got all these big goals, we wrote them down, and by the end of the first quarter, they've gone by the wayside, because they found out that some of these things are difficult to obtain. Well, yeah, being a good organization, successful leader, successful organization takes, commitment.
Yeah.
It's not easy. So you have to be committed. You got to have that courage to stay committed and to stay on those paths. If you keep setting goals for your organization and then, goes by the wayside here in 2 or 3 months, how much trust are you going to gain from the people around you? And loyalty, honestly, loyalty. If you're not loyal to your cause, do you expect them to be loyal to yours?
Yeah.
Hand in hand.
And also, to your point, being in the present is a big one. You've got to let go of the past sometimes and move forward. If you don't let go of the past, it will stifle your growth. So you may have made mistakes in the past. You find a solution, you learn from them, and you move forward. And you move forward. Someone that is a good leader has a laser focused plan. They're not all over the place. So if you find yourself not being able to focus, not being able to really put a real clear-cut strategy and direction down for your team, you need to, that is a sign that you need an executive coach.
Right.
You need someone to help you with leadership development, because people need leaders that are going to give them clear-cut direction, vision, strategy, so they know what to do.
Right. So let me ask you this. Another part of this puzzle we were talking about today is, are you coachable? For example, if I was one of your clients, Donna, and I came to you, or we were talking, and I finally just told you, look, I don't need any coaching. I've got this. I know it all. I've been here 15 years. We're still here. We're going strong. I got a lot of good people here. And, what would you tell me? I don't need coaching, Donna. I'm good.
That's the tough one. And if someone is not willing and open to listening to what coaching is and what it's not, that person may not be ready to be coached.
Right. So what is coaching? What is coaching? What's the difference? What it is and what it's not?
Coaching is not, I'm not going to come in, or you're not going to come in and tell someone how to run their business.
Right.
Right. You're also not a mentor. And I think sometimes there's a little confusion with that. A mentor is someone that's with you for a long period of time and really gives you recommendations on what to do, helps you resource things like that. A coach is about you, and is truly an executive coach is truly focused on leadership within you. And when I emphasize you, because it is about you and how you lead others. So it's about putting together, it is in a specific amount of time. The time is defined. There's a structured, detailed plan that you get to and you work through. So you guys work together to create that plan for yourself. And that plan for yourself will trickle down into your business and those you lead, where you will see real measurable results.
Yep.
So it's not a point of, when you look at maybe some of the other things that people may say, well, I need help with my business. We're not here to help you with the business. We're here to help you as a leader, and or with your leadership development. Right. So it's a big difference, because we're actually working with you to create a plan and make sure that you're accountable with that plan, right? And that you execute it, and that we get feedback from others that work with you to see if that plan is really, moving forward the way it should.
Yep.
And seeing those results. You and I know that when you get someone that really is coachable and really wants to do this, they will see a return on their investment.
Yes.
It's not a bunch of talking. Like, there's actually a plan, and they'll see a return.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that, because there are multiple studies that show that executive coaching has a 7 times return on investment on average.
Mm-hmm.
On average. That's huge. If you were to invest X amount of money and a year down the road, you can see, a 7 times return, or 2 years down the road, whatever it may be. And then another point you brought up that's very interesting is leadership is a horizontal step.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. We're not going to come in as consultants to brief you on certain problems within your industry. We may not be able to know your industry per se, and that's not what an executive coach is. They're coming in to help you develop your personal leadership skills.
Exactly.
Mentors are typically people who've, worked in your business for years and years and know how, the business and, the tribal knowledge of whatever it is you do. You mentioned the industry that you come from is vastly different than the one I come from. I come from, FDA regulated medical devices,
mm-hmm.
Medical device manufacturing, and everything that goes along with that, the service end that goes along with that. But the same thing, we're both teaching leadership development skills, and it's the same. It translates across all industries.
Yeah, exactly. It is the same. To be and all of the key elements to being a great leader don't change. The science doesn't change.
No.
Right? So the art may change, and when I say art, it's the industry or the category you're in, but that science is the same. And as the thing about leadership development that I find amazing is that when you really go through the transformation and you see what happens, you see the difference within your employees or your team. But you see increased productivity, you see increased profitability, because people are incentivized and want to work. And they don't feel like it's, oh gosh, I got to go to the office. They don't feel like it's work. They enjoy what they're doing. And that's a big difference. And those measurable results, which we know you can measure them, will show you increased productivity, increased profitability, a better morale with the team, with your team, and people that want to learn and grow with you. And that, especially in the marketplace today, we see a lot of turnover, or that revolving door, as we call it, right? An executive coach will help, trim that, where you don't have a lot, you don't have a high turnover, you don't have that revolving door, because you're investing in yourself and in your people.
Exactly. Well, Donna, thank you very much. Those are some awesome points to close with there. So if people want to get a hold of you, someone out there is listening to what you got to say today and want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
Well, they can go to my website, which is Donna Tarantino at Intelligent Leadership, and then my email, which is dtarantino@intelligentleadershipec.com. And I know you're going to show the right.
Yep, I'll put it right up.
Put it up, because I know
I got for anybody to see. Yep,
I know I got my website wrong. It's just this, but you can go to my website and it will give you my my background and just some information as well. And would love to talk to someone that's really curious about executive coaching. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, once again, Donna, thank you very much, and we hope Maikel will be back soon. I'm sure he will. But if you want to get a hold of either Maikel or myself, you can go to our website. It's Executive Leaders ACT, ILEC.com. That's Executive Leaders ACT, and reach out to us. And once again, schedule some time with us, schedule some time with Donna, and let's get you on the road to improving that leadership.
And so become a great leader, a good leader to a great leader, right?
A great leader, you bet. And so once again, thank you so much for being with us today, and stay safe and take care.